Hello there. Tonight, we journey gently into the deepest layers of your own mind, where hidden networks process more of your experience than waking awareness ever touches. The subconscious is a vast, quiet territory, and together we will wander through its most remarkable landscapes. Welcome to Deep Sleep Science. I am so glad you are here. Wherever you are right now, perhaps lying in the familiar darkness of your bedroom with the day's last thoughts still dissolving, or perhaps resting somewhere quiet with your eyes already growing heavy. Let yourself settle into this shared moment of calm. Nothing is expected of you tonight. You do not need to follow every word or hold on to any single detail. If sleep arrives before our journey ends, that is the loveliest outcome this quiet exploration could offer. Tonight, we drift through 100 gentle truths about the subconscious mind, memory, and the hidden architecture beneath your thoughts. We will discover how your brain constructs your very sense of self while you rest, how emotional memories reshape themselves in the safe darkness of sleep, how patterns absorbed without awareness quietly guide your waking choices, and how the vast machinery of memory organizes itself each night beneath the surface of consciousness. The subconscious is not a small room behind a locked door. It is the ocean beneath the thin, bright surface of awareness. This gentle journey through the sleeping mind builds connections between curious, resting souls. A soft like or subscribe helps one more sleepy soul find this quiet space. One peaceful moment, one resting mind at a time. For now, let everything beyond this moment grow distant. Let your shoulders release whatever they have been carrying. Let the muscles of your face soften, your jaw loosening, the space between your eyebrows becoming smooth. Imagine yourself sinking slowly into a warm, dark stillness where understanding arrives without effort, like shapes forming in clouds you watch through half-closed eyes. Close your eyes whenever you feel ready. Take one long, slow breath in, hold it for a gentle moment, and release it completely. Let us begin. Information connected to your sense of self creates the most durable memories your brain can form. When you process something by relating it to your own experiences, personality, or history, your medial prefrontal cortex engages deeply, activating rich networks of personal association. Experiments consistently demonstrate that judging whether a word describes you produces far stronger recall than evaluating that same word in any other manner. This self-referential advantage exists because your identity is the most elaborate knowledge structure in your entire mind. Everything touching it gains access to an extraordinary web of connections. Your sense of self is the brightest constellation in memory's sky, and anything that draws near inherits a portion of that enduring light. Nostalgic recollection serves functions far beyond simple sentimentality. When researchers in 2025 studied people experiencing loneliness or uncertainty, they found that spontaneous nostalgic memory improved mood, strengthened feelings of social connection, and restored a sense of meaningful continuity across time. The subconscious selectively curates these memories, highlighting warmth while softening difficulty. Though the resulting recollections may not be perfectly faithful to events, they provide genuine psychological resources during challenging moments. Your mind maintains a private gallery of warmth. Its paintings not quite true to life, but truer to what your heart needs most. Your subconscious continually constructs a coherent life story from scattered experiences, weaving individual memories into an ongoing narrative of who you are. This process, studied extensively through 2025, unfolds primarily during rest and mind wandering, as the default mode network connects disparate episodes into meaningful sequences. Without this constant background narrative construction, experience would feel like disconnected fragments rather than a flowing story. People who sleep well show more coherent and flexible life narratives than those whose rest is fragmented. Your subconscious is the quiet author of your autobiography, writing through every night, connecting chapters you never knew belonged together. Certain neurons in your brain activate identically whether you perform an action yourself or simply observe someone else performing it. These mirror neurons, found across motor and emotional processing regions, may form the neural foundation for understanding others without conscious reasoning. When you watch someone reach for a glass, some of the same circuits fire as when your own hand moves. This automatic simulation extends to feelings. Observing someone wince activates areas related to discomfort in your own brain. Your subconscious constantly rehearses the experiences of those around you, building empathy from the quiet imitation of 1,000 unnoticed gestures. Memories of significant events often feel extraordinarily vivid and certain, as though preserved in perfect clarity. You might recall exactly where you stood when important news arrived, the quality of light in the room, the expression on a nearby face. Yet research consistently reveals these vivid memories shift over time, just as other memories do. Confidence remains unwavering, even as details change across months and years. Emotional intensity creates a compelling sense of accuracy that does not guarantee it. Your subconscious paints these memories in brighter colors without necessarily placing every element correctly. Like an artist who captures the feeling of a scene more faithfully than its geography, your brain does not passively receive sensory information, but actively generates predictions about what it expects to encounter, updating only when reality differs from expectation. This predictive coding framework, refined through 2025 computational models, means your conscious experience is largely a projection of the subconscious model rather than raw sensory data. You perceive what your brain anticipates, adjusting only when surprises arise. Optical illusions exploit this process, revealing moments where the subconscious draws incorrect conclusions. You never perceive the raw world directly, but your brain's best interpretation of it. A carefully constructed model so seamless you rarely notice it is a model at all. When gaps appear in your recollection, your subconscious fills them with plausible information, presenting the result as genuine memory. This confabulation occurs not through deliberate invention, but through the brain's preference for coherent narratives over incomplete ones. People with certain types of frontal lobe difficulties may confabulate extensively, constructing detailed accounts of events that never occurred. Healthy minds do this too. On smaller scales, whenever certainty exceeds actual knowledge, your memory system values making sense more than being precisely correct. It weaves seamless stories from imperfect threads, and you rarely notice the invisible stitches where memory ends and quiet invention begins. Physical memory traces called engrams exist as specific groups of neurons that activate together during learning and reactivate together during recall. Advanced techniques developed through 2025 allow researchers to identify these exact populations of cells and even trigger them artificially, effectively switching on a particular memory from the outside. This demonstrates that memories are not abstract phenomena, but concrete physical patterns encoded in cellular connections. Each memory you carry exists as a unique constellation of neural activity, a precise arrangement as real as the neurons holding it. Your memories are written in the physical language of your brain, each one a distinct pattern etched in living tissue. After learning how events unfolded, your subconscious quietly revises what you believed beforehand, creating the illusion you predicted the outcome all along. This hindsight bias reshapes memory of your prior judgments, making the past appear more predictable than it truly was. While this creates a comforting sense of understanding, it can reduce genuine learning from experience. If you believe you already knew what would happen, opportunities to refine judgment slip past unnoticed. Your memory of what you once expected is colored by knowledge of what actually occurred, like a river whose appearance now makes it seem impossible it ever looked any other way. Remembering past events and imagining future scenarios engage remarkably similar neural systems, including the hippocampus and associated cortical networks. This overlap means your brain uses the same constructive tools for both retrospection and prospection, assembling scenes from fragments regardless of temporal direction. It also explains why vividly imagining an event can eventually feel like something that genuinely happened. The boundary between what occurred and what you merely pictured can blur across time. Your subconscious builds the past and the future from identical materials, a single workshop crafting memories and possibilities with the same instruments, distinguished only by the labels conscious awareness applies. Every perception you experience has been interpreted and constructed by subconscious processes before reaching awareness. The 19th century scientist Hermann von Helmholtz first proposed that perception involves unconscious inference, where the brain draws conclusions from incomplete sensory data combined with stored expectations. Modern research from 2025 confirms this with increasing precision. Your brain resolves ambiguous visual, auditory, and tactile information using prior experience constantly. You never encounter the raw world, but only your subconscious interpretation of it. A carefully assembled model presented so seamlessly that you mistake the interpretation for the thing itself. Like reading a translation so fluent you forget it is not the original. How you interpret an emotional experience fundamentally alters how that event is stored in memory. When you consciously reappraise a difficult situation, viewing it from a different angle or finding meaning within it, your prefrontal cortex modulates amygdala activity, reducing the emotional intensity encoded alongside factual content. Research from 2025 confirms that reappraisal during or shortly after an event can permanently shift the emotional tone of the resulting memory. The stories you tell yourself about experiences become part of the memories themselves. Your subconscious stores not just events but interpretations, weaving meaning and emotion together so tightly they become inseparable. Like dye absorbed into cloth until the color cannot be distinguished from the fabric. Organized knowledge structures called schemas act as frameworks through which new experiences are filtered and stored. When incoming information fits an existing schema, encoding proceeds swiftly and integration feels natural. When information dramatically contradicts expectations, it may be remembered with particular vividness because it stands out. But moderately inconsistent details often get quietly adjusted to match existing understanding, reshaped by the subconscious to preserve coherence. 2025 research demonstrated that sleeping after learning schema-consistent information accelerated its integration into existing knowledge. Your subconscious organizes experience through patterns built from a lifetime of encounters. A new information must negotiate with those patterns to find its place. During lighter stages of sleep, your brain generates brief electrical oscillations called sleep spindles. Rapid bursts, lasting 1 to 2 seconds, that sweep across the cortex. These are not random neural noise, but precisely timed coordination signals. Research from 2025 demonstrated that the number and frequency of sleep spindles directly correlate with memory performance. They facilitate dialogue between the hippocampus, where recent memories temporarily reside, and the cortex, where lasting memories gradually take root. Each spindle serves as a momentary bridge between two memory systems, a brief pulse of coordination, like a lighthouse beam synchronizing distant vessels navigating through the dark. What you find meaningful directly influences what your subconscious preserves. Information relevant to your current goals, interests, and values receives preferential encoding, supported by reward-related brain regions that interact with memory systems to amplify the signal. Research from 2024 showed that even subtle motivational cues alter what people remember from identical experiences. Two people witnessing the same event may retain entirely different details based on what mattered to each. Your subconscious filters the flood of experience through the lens of personal significance, preserving what serves your deepest concerns while allowing the rest to dissolve. Memory is not an impartial archive, but a reflection of what you care about most. Your subconscious continuously monitors the internal state of your body through a process called interoception, tracking heart rate, breathing, temperature, hunger, and hundreds of other signals without bringing most of them to conscious attention. Research from 2025 revealed this constant internal surveillance profoundly influences emotional experience, decision-making, and even memory formation. People with stronger interoceptive sensitivity show better emotional regulation and more nuanced self-knowledge. Nearly all of this monitoring occurs entirely beneath awareness. Your body sends thousands of signals to your brain every minute, and the subconscious processes almost all of them silently. You are always listening to yourself without knowing you are listening. The amygdala and hippocampus, two structures nestled deep within the temporal lobe, collaborate during emotional memory formation but contribute different elements. The amygdala registers emotional significance and modulates encoding strength, while the hippocampus organizes contextual details into coherent episodes. Damage to one reveals the independence of the other. Someone without a functioning amygdala might recall factual details of a frightening event without experiencing any fear. Someone with hippocampal difficulty might feel fear without remembering its source. Your subconscious separates feeling from story, storing each in its own vault, united during recall but maintained independently in the quiet architecture of your brain. The context in which you learn something fades from memory more quickly than the knowledge itself. You might confidently recall a fact but have no recollection whether you read it, heard it from a friend, or encountered it during a dream. This source memory depends on frontal brain regions particularly vulnerable to fatigue and aging. 2025 research confirmed that sleep deprivation impairs source recall while leaving factual memory relatively intact. Your subconscious preserves what you know more faithfully than how you came to know it. Content persists while origin dissolves. like a river whose water remains clear long after the spring that fed it has been forgotten. Your physical posture, gestures, and bodily sensations influence subconscious thought processes in ways you seldom notice. Research from 2024 demonstrated that people holding a warm object judged strangers as more emotionally warm, and those sitting upright reported greater confidence. The body participates actively in cognition, not merely serving as transport for the brain. Physical states shape abstract thought through metaphorical connections the subconscious maintains between bodily experience and conceptual understanding. Your thoughts extend through your posture, your hands, your physical relationship with the surrounding world. Like roots that nourish a tree from soil it cannot perceive above ground. Different emotional states create distinct patterns of what your memory captures and preserves. Contentment tends to broaden your attentional lens, supporting recall of overall context and relationships between elements. Anxiety narrows focus sharply, enhancing memory for central alarming details while peripheral information vanishes. Sadness encourages careful, detail-oriented processing that favors accuracy over speed. Research from 2025 confirmed these patterns hold consistently across cultures and age groups. Your subconscious tailors the recording of each experience to the emotion accompanying it, as though different feelings activate different cameras, each capturing the same moment from its own particular angle. Faces carrying emotional expressions are stored differently in memory than neutral ones. The amygdala enhances encoding for fearful and angry expressions particularly strongly, creating rapid, automatic recognition that operates even when faces appear too briefly for conscious perception. 2024 research demonstrated this bias persists even under conditions of divided attention. Your subconscious prioritizes remembering faces that signal potential difficulty, a tendency refined across countless generations when reading emotion in another's expression could determine the boundary between safety and harm. Your emotional face library is filed under quiet urgency, its most detailed entries reserved for expressions your ancestors needed to recognize without a moment's hesitation. Modern imaging technology can identify which memory someone is accessing by analyzing patterns of brain activity. Different memories produce distinct neural signatures that machine learning algorithms recognize with increasing accuracy. Research from 2025 achieved notable precision in distinguishing between memories of different categories and even specific instances. While this remains far from comprehensive mind reading, it confirms each memory exists as a unique physical pattern distributed across neural populations. Your subconscious stores every recollection as a specific constellation of cellular activity, each one as distinct as a fingerprint, legible to instruments sensitive enough to read the language of firing neurons. Your subconscious consistently provides inaccurate predictions about how future events will make you feel. Research spanning decades and confirmed through 2025 studies shows people reliably overestimate both the intensity and duration of future emotional reactions. You might predict that a success will bring lasting joy, or that a setback will leave you shattered for months. Yet actual emotional responses prove shorter and milder than expected. This impact bias arises because the subconscious struggles to account for its own remarkable adaptation capacity. You are far more emotionally resilient than your forecasts suggest. The fortune teller within your mind reads the signs with genuine conviction, but consistently overestimates the approaching weather, even without being consciously recalled. Memories continue to evolve in storage. New experiences can retroactively influence older memories, particularly when the content resembles something already stored. This gradual transformation means your recollection of a childhood morning might incorporate details from a later, similar morning without your awareness. Research from 2024 confirmed memories are not fixed recordings, but living records that interact with one another across time. Your past is not a collection of sealed photographs, but a garden where memories grow into and around each other, their roots quietly intertwining beneath the surface of awareness. Recent research from 2025 reveals that the default mode network does not merely process self-referential thoughts, but maintains an internal model of the brain's own processing. The posterior regions of this network appear to simulate the brain's activity, creating a form of meta-awareness, a mind observing its own operations. This self-modeling capacity may represent the foundation of consciousness itself, the remarkable loop through which awareness becomes aware of being aware. Your subconscious contains a representation not just of the world and your place within it, but of its own existence. A mirror within a mirror, reflecting inward toward depths that may have no final boundary. Let yourself rest here for a moment. Feel the soft weight of your body pressing gently into whatever surface holds you. Notice how gravity asks nothing of you except permission to draw you closer. Not pulling you down, but holding you in place. The way the earth holds everything it quietly cherishes. Bring your attention to your breathing without trying to change it. Simply observe. The cool air entering, the warm air departing. Between each breath, a small silence where nothing needs to happen and nothing is required of you. In that silence, you exist without effort, without thought, without the need to be anyone at all. Just awareness resting in its own quiet warmth. Somewhere inside you, your subconscious is processing everything we have explored together. Sorting, connecting, filing, gently releasing what it does not need. It requires nothing from you. It asks only for your stillness. Stay here as long as you wish, and when the words return, let them carry you forward like a gentle current. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, shapes memory formation along a curve resembling an inverted arc. Moderate levels at the time of learning sharpen encoding, helping you preserve situations of genuine importance. But when cortisol rises too high or persists too long, hippocampal function suffers and new memory formation becomes impaired. Research from 2025 found that chronic elevation can reduce hippocampal volume over time, affecting the very structure of the organ most essential for memory. The relationship between stress and remembering is one of calibration rather than simple opposition. Your subconscious thrives on just enough arousal to sharpen attention, like a flame that illuminates when contained, but consumes when it escapes its boundaries. Most adults cannot recall specific events from their first 3 or 4 years, a phenomenon called childhood amnesia. This absence reflects not a lack of experience, but the immaturity of brain systems required for lasting explicit memory. The hippocampus continues developing through early childhood, and the prefrontal regions supporting autobiographical narrative emerge even later. Yet those earliest years leave profound impressions through implicit memory, shaping attachment patterns, emotional tendencies, and fundamental ways of relating to the world. 2025 research emphasizes these experiences persist not as stories you can tell, but as tendencies woven into how you respond to everything. Your deepest foundation exists in a realm beyond the reach of words. Attention serves as the primary gateway through which information enters long-term memory. Experiences receiving focused, conscious attention are encoded far more deeply than those passing unnoticed. This explains why dividing attention across multiple tasks consistently weakens memory for each one. The hippocampus requires input from attention networks to properly process new material. However, the subconscious still monitors unattended information selectively, automatically noticing personally relevant signals, like your name spoken in a crowded room when you were not consciously listening. Your mind balances focused encoding with broad surveillance, a narrow spotlight of awareness, surrounded by a wider, dimmer glow of subconscious monitoring that never entirely switches off. Factual knowledge gradually becomes independent of the hippocampus through a process called systems consolidation, occurring primarily during sleep. When you first learn something, retrieval depends heavily on hippocampal circuits. But through repeated offline processing across many nights, these representations slowly migrate to cortical networks in the temporal and frontal lobes. Eventually, well-consolidated knowledge can survive even hippocampal difficulty. This explains why people with certain types of amnesia retain vast stores of established knowledge while being unable to form new memories. Your subconscious slowly migrates essential understanding from temporary to permanent storage. Like precious cargo transferred from a harbor vessel to a great warehouse built to last for years. Musical memory appears to be among the most resilient forms of recollection, persisting even when other cognitive abilities fade significantly. People with advanced memory challenges can sometimes sing complete melodies or play familiar pieces on instruments when they can no longer recall recent conversations. Music engages motor, emotional, and memory systems simultaneously, creating redundant encoding across multiple brain regions. This distributed processing provides natural protection against localized decline. Additionally, music almost always connects to emotional experience, which the amygdala processes with particular depth. Your subconscious holds melodies with extraordinary tenacity, as though rhythm and song were woven into the very fabric of how your brain preserves what it treasures most. Repeated exposure to something, even below the threshold of conscious awareness, gradually shifts your preference toward it. In laboratory studies, people shown images too briefly to consciously perceive later preferred those images over novel alternatives, despite insisting they had never encountered either before. This mere exposure effect influences preferences spanning faces, melodies, and everyday choices. Your subconscious maintains a running account of what you have encountered, quietly steering you toward the familiar. From an evolutionary perspective, what is known is likely what is safe. Your preferences are shaped by invisible encounters, a ledger kept beneath awareness that tilts your choices toward what the subconscious already recognizes. Remembering to perform intended future actions requires a form of memory quite different from recalling the past. When you set an intention to take medication at noon or send a message after a meeting, your subconscious begins a background monitoring process that runs alongside everything else you do. Sometimes the reminder surfaces abruptly, seemingly from nowhere. 2025 research found that this prospective memory relies on prefrontal and parietal brain regions and involves constant subconscious surveillance of context and time. This internal timekeeper operates patiently and silently, like an assistant who waits in the background until precisely the right moment to gently tap your shoulder. because retrieved memories become temporarily unstable before being stored again. A brief reconsolidation window exists, during which therapeutic modification becomes possible. Some experimental approaches involve recalling a difficult memory and then introducing new information during this vulnerable period, potentially softening the emotional intensity of the original recollection. Research from 2024 found this approach shows promise for easing the grip of persistent, painful memories. The subconscious can be guided to gently reshape its records of the past, not erasing what happened, but gradually changing how it feels. Each memory carries the possibility of quiet transformation. If approached during those brief moments when the past reopens for revision, your brain evaluates the emotional content of faces within milliseconds, well before conscious perception forms an opinion. The amygdala responds to fearful expressions through direct pathways from sensory areas that bypass the visual cortex entirely, enabling reactions faster than deliberate thought permits. 2025 research confirmed these subcortical routes activate even when faces are masked or presented outside attentional focus. Your subconscious reads the emotional landscape of every space you enter, assessing safety from the briefest glimpse at surrounding expressions. This automatic social scanning operates continuously, a quiet sentinel evaluating every face for what it might reveal about the world around you. Confident memories of witnessed events can contain significant errors indistinguishable from genuine recall. In classic studies, changing a single word in a question about a filmed incident altered not just what people reported seeing, but what they genuinely believed they had witnessed. Substituting the word smashed for hit caused witnesses to recall higher speeds and even report shattered glass that never existed. 2025 research continues to demonstrate that information encountered after an event integrates seamlessly into the original memory. Your subconscious weaves perception, expectation, and suggestion into narratives so coherent they feel unquestionable. Yet accuracy and confidence can walk separate paths that only appear parallel from a distance. Your brain retains the ability to form new connections, strengthen existing ones, and dissolve unnecessary pathways throughout your entire life. This neuroplasticity, once thought impossible in adult brains, has been confirmed across every age group studied. Even the hippocampus shows evidence of generating new neurons in a region called the dentate gyrus. Every experience, every skill practiced, every night of rest subtly reshapes neural architecture. Your brain is never finished being constructed. 2025 research demonstrated that consistent learning paired with adequate sleep produces measurable structural changes within weeks. Your subconscious sculpts itself continuously, a living sculpture reshaped by every encounter with the world it inhabits. Emotions transfer between people through subconscious mechanisms far faster than conscious thought can mediate. When someone nearby smiles, motor simulation neurons in your brain activate the same facial muscles at imperceptible levels. When a companion speaks with tension, your autonomic nervous system may subtly mirror that state. 2025 research using real-time physiological monitoring found emotional states synchronize between people within seconds, often without either person becoming aware. This emotional contagion serves social bonding and collective coordination. Your subconscious absorbs the emotional climate around you constantly, like a still pond whose surface registers every passing breeze without choosing which ripples to accept. Subtle exposure to certain words, images, or concepts can unconsciously shift subsequent behavior. In classic demonstrations, people exposed to words associated with aging walked more slowly afterward without noticing any change. Exposure to achievement-related imagery increased persistence on difficult tasks. These behavioral priming effects occur without conscious recognition of either the stimulus or its influence. 2024 research refined understanding of how priming operates, showing effects are typically modest and temporary, but consistently measurable. Your subconscious responds to contextual signals in the environment and adjusts your behavior in directions you may never consciously choose. Like a sail shaped by winds its navigator cannot feel. Attempting to retrieve information from memory strengthens that memory more effectively than simply reviewing the material again. When you struggle to recall something, even unsuccessfully, the effort creates stronger, more accessible neural pathways than passive exposure ever could. This testing effect has been confirmed through hundreds of experiments spanning 2025. Practice retrieval consistently outperforms rereading. Even incorrect attempts benefit subsequent learning by activating search networks that will later find the correct answer more readily. Your subconscious strengthens memories most through the effort of searching for them, as though the struggle of reaching for something just beyond your grasp builds the very muscles that will one day hold it securely. Without adequate sleep, the functional connection between your prefrontal cortex and amygdala weakens measurably. The amygdala becomes hyperactive in response to negative stimuli, while the prefrontal cortex loses its moderating influence. This explains why exhaustion amplifies emotional reactions and reduces tolerance for minor frustrations. Even a single night of reduced sleep produces detectable changes in emotional processing. 2025, neuroimaging confirmed the amygdala can show up to 60% greater reactivity after sleep loss. Your conscious regulation of subconscious emotional responses depends fundamentally on rest. Without sleep, the volume on every feeling turns upward, while the hand that would adjust it grows too weary to reach the dial. Reaction time tests reveal that people can hold automatic associations contradicting their conscious beliefs. The implicit association test measures how quickly someone pairs concepts with positive or negative attributes, exposing subconscious connections formed through cultural exposure. Someone who consciously endorses equality may still show faster associations between certain groups and negative attributes, revealing patterns absorbed from the environment. 2025 research found these implicit associations are mediated by emotional processing regions and strengthened by stress hormones. Changing deeply ingrained automatic associations requires sustained conscious effort and consistent counterexamples. Your subconscious absorbs patterns from its surroundings automatically, and reshaping them demands patience the waking mind must deliberately provide. Information you produce yourself is remembered significantly better than information you passively receive. Writing notes in your own language, answering questions before hearing answers, or explaining concepts aloud all create deeper encoding than copying or rereading. This generation effect occurs because active production engages multiple processing pathways, building richer memory representations with more retrieval routes. 2024 research confirmed the effect persists even when initial attempts are incorrect. Your subconscious encodes not merely content but the process of creating it. Memories constructed through effort have more supporting structure than those merely received. Like buildings you raise yourself, that you understand completely because your hands shaped every beam. Information encoded in one internal state is most readily retrieved when that same state returns. If you study while calm, retrieval flows more smoothly when calm again. Material absorbed during mild anxiety becomes most accessible during similar tension. This state-dependent learning extends to physical postures and pharmacological conditions. Research from 2025 demonstrated that emotional states create particularly strong context effects, with contented memories more accessible during contentment, and difficult memories surfacing more readily during sadness. Your subconscious files memories not merely by content but by the internal conditions surrounding their creation. Like books shelved not by title, but by the weather on the day they were read. When similar memories share the same neural territory, they compete for retrieval. Accessing one memory can actively suppress related alternatives, a phenomenon called retrieval-induced forgetting. Research from 2025 demonstrated that repeatedly retrieving specific items from a category makes unrecalled items from that same category harder to access afterward. This competition helps the subconscious manage vast stores of related information by prioritizing the most frequently needed entries. Suppressed memories are not erased, only temporarily quieted. Your memory system manages its vast collection through gentle competition, where frequently requested volumes move to front shelves while others recede into deeper stacks, still present but waiting patiently for their turn. When conscious working memory reaches its limited capacity, the subconscious compensates by absorbing routine processing. Cognitive load theory, refined through 2025 research, shows that overloading conscious channels causes performance to falter on novel tasks, while practiced behaviors continue unimpaired. This occurs because automated skills operate on subconscious circuits independent of working memory limits. Expert performance relies on transferring as much processing as possible beneath awareness, freeing conscious resources for genuinely new challenges. Your mind has two workforces, one small and deliberate, the other vast and automatic. And when the smaller team becomes overwhelmed, the larger quietly absorbs whatever it already knows how to handle. Heightened arousal at the moment of learning tends to strengthen memory formation. Yet that same arousal during retrieval can impair access. This paradox explains why test anxiety undermines performance even for material studied thoroughly. The stress that once sharpened encoding now obstructs the very pathways it helped create. 2025 research confirmed the relationship follows a curve. Moderate arousal enhances both encoding and retrieval, while extreme levels produce the paradoxical combination of strong storage with difficult access. Your subconscious performs best within an optimal range of activation, alert enough to record faithfully, but calm enough to read what it has written. Memory consolidation operates simultaneously at two scales. At the microscopic level, chemical changes at individual synapses strengthen connections between neurons. At the systems level, entire memory representations redistribute from hippocampus to cortex over days, weeks, and months. Both processes depend heavily on sleep. 2025 research showed that sleep-dependent replay involves precise coupling between different types of brain oscillations, each facilitating a distinct aspect of consolidation. Your subconscious manages memory architecture, from molecules to networks, simultaneously, like a city being renovated at every scale at once, from the mortar between stones to the layout of entire neighborhoods. When behaviors become habitual through repetition, Neural control shifts from goal-directed systems in the prefrontal cortex to habit circuits in the striatum, structures deep beneath the cortical surface. Once this transfer occurs, habits are triggered by environmental cues and proceed automatically. This efficiency is powerful, but inflexible. Modifying established habits requires restructuring environmental triggers to activate alternative sequences, not merely exerting willpower. 2024 research demonstrated that striatal encoding strength predicts how resistant a habit will be to conscious override. Your subconscious habit system executes learned routines with reliable precision. Like a train following tracks worn deep through years of faithful passage. Metacognition, the capacity to monitor your own thinking, provides you with intuitive feelings about the state of your knowledge. When you sense you know something but cannot quite produce it, that tip-of-the-tongue experience is a metacognitive signal about a retrieval search still underway beneath awareness. These signals are generally helpful but not infallible. You might feel certain about an answer that proves wrong, or uncertain about one that is correct. 2025 research confirmed metacognitive accuracy improves with expertise and adequate rest. Your conscious mind receives progress reports from deeper processing layers. But these reports are summaries rather than direct access, like dispatches from an expedition whose full landscape remains hidden. Memory consolidation requires genuine biological energy. During sleep, neurons activate gene transcription in mitochondria, increasing energy output to support the protein synthesis required for lasting structural changes at synapses. This coupling between neural activity and cellular energy metabolism was confirmed through 2025 research using advanced metabolic imaging. As people age, this coupling gradually weakens, which may contribute to age-related memory challenges. Your subconscious does not merely process information abstractly but performs physical, metabolic labor, consuming energy, constructing proteins, modifying cellular structures. Memory is material work performed while you rest, as real as any construction, fueled by quiet engines humming steadily through darkness. You are still here, drifting gently between thoughts and the edges of sleep. Let yourself notice the softness of this moment. The world outside your awareness continues its turning. But here, in this small circle of quiet, nothing moves except the rhythm of your breath. Bring your attention to the space behind your closed eyes. Perhaps it is deep and dark, or perhaps faint shapes drift like ink dissolving in warm water. Whatever you find there, simply notice it. This is the visual landscape of your resting mind, a canvas your subconscious paints when the outer world has been gently set aside. Feel how your body has grown heavier since we began. This heaviness is not exhaustion but permission. Every cell recognizes the arrival of rest and responds with a release your conscious mind can only observe. You do not need to follow the next words closely. They will find you wherever you drift. And we continue, softly. The strange, fleeting sense of having lived through an identical moment before arises when your brain's familiarity detection system fires slightly ahead of conscious recognition. Déjà vu occurs most often when a current environment shares structural features with a place you have encountered before but cannot explicitly recall. The parahippocampal regions responsible for spatial layout processing generate a recognition signal without producing the accompanying memory. 2025 research using virtual environments demonstrated that scenes sharing the same spatial geometry as previously experienced locations reliably triggered this phenomenon. Your subconscious recognizes patterns faster than your conscious mind can locate their origin, producing an eerie certainty of repetition from what is simply recognition without a source. Like hearing a melody you cannot name but know you have heard before. When a skill becomes deeply practiced, its execution transfers from conscious, deliberate control to automatic subconscious processing. An expert musician no longer thinks about individual finger placements. A skilled driver navigates familiar routes while holding complex conversations. This automaticity arises from thousands of repetitions that gradually shift neural control from prefrontal and parietal attention networks to basal ganglia circuits optimized for rapid, efficient execution. 2025 research demonstrated that experts show less overall brain activation during skilled performance than novices. Not because less processing occurs, but because processing has become profoundly more efficient. Mastery means the subconscious has absorbed a skill so completely that consciousness becomes a spectator to its own abilities. Sleep deprivation damages memory formation through multiple converging mechanisms. Without adequate rest, the hippocampus loses its capacity to efficiently encode new information. Attention networks falter, reducing the quality of input reaching memory systems. Consolidation processes that normally strengthen and organize memories during sleep cannot operate. Research from 2025 showed that even moderate sleep restriction across several nights produces cumulative memory deficits comparable to a full night without sleep. The effects are insidious because people consistently underestimate their own impairment. Your subconscious memory systems require sleep not as a luxury, but as a biological necessity. Like a garden that cannot grow without the water that only nightfall brings. The physical environment in which you learn becomes encoded alongside the information itself, creating a context-dependent retrieval advantage. Students who study in a particular room recall material better when tested in that same space. Divers who learned word lists underwater remembered them better beneath the surface than on land. This contextual binding occurs because the hippocampus automatically integrates environmental features with whatever content you are processing. 2025 research confirmed that even subtle environmental cues, ambient sounds, lighting quality, background scents, serve as retrieval aids. Your subconscious wraps each memory in the sensory atmosphere of its creation, like letters stored in envelopes that carry the faint scent of the room where they were written. Distributing learning across multiple sessions separated by time produces dramatically stronger long-term retention than concentrating the same effort into a single period. This spacing effect occurs because each retrieval attempt across intervals strengthens different aspects of the memory trace. The subconscious consolidation that occurs between sessions allows partial forgetting, which paradoxically enhances the benefit of subsequent review. Research from 2025 confirmed that optimally spaced practice can double or triple long-term retention compared to massed study. Your subconscious builds stronger memories from interrupted effort than from sustained concentration, as though the mortar between bricks needs time to set before the next layer can be securely placed. Traumatic memories are encoded differently from ordinary recollections. Extreme stress floods the brain with norepinephrine and cortisol, producing intense encoding of central emotional elements, while peripheral details may be lost entirely. The resulting memories can be simultaneously vivid and fragmentary, carrying powerful emotional charge alongside confusing gaps. Research from 2025 demonstrated that traumatic memories are stored with stronger amygdala involvement and weaker hippocampal contextual binding. which may explain intrusive re-experiencing. Your subconscious preserves the emotional essence of overwhelming experiences with extraordinary intensity, while the narrative framework remains incomplete. Like a photograph taken in lightning, brilliantly illuminating some details, while leaving surrounding darkness untouched. The default mode network, that constellation of brain regions active during rest and mind-wandering, plays a crucial role in social cognition. When you think about other people's thoughts, feelings, and intentions, these same regions engage powerfully. 2025 research revealed that the default mode network essentially runs social simulations during quiet moments, rehearsing past interactions and modeling possible future ones. People with richer default mode activity during rest demonstrate stronger empathy and more nuanced social understanding. Your subconscious spends its quiet moments practicing the art of understanding others, running simulations of social worlds even when you believe you are thinking about nothing at all. Intuitive judgments arise from the subconscious integration of vast amounts of information processed too rapidly for conscious analysis. Experienced professionals in complex domains often report knowing the right decision before being able to articulate why. This occurs because pattern recognition systems have absorbed thousands of examples, extracting regularities that inform judgment without producing explicit reasoning. 2025 research using physiological monitoring confirmed that intuitive responses are accompanied by measurable bodily signals, changes in heart rate and skin conductance that precede conscious awareness of a decision. Your gut feelings are not mystical but computational, the output of a vast parallel processor delivering conclusions before the slower, sequential conscious mind can reconstruct their logic. The fundamental principle of memory formation at the cellular level was anticipated decades ago. Neurons that fire together wire together. This Hebbian learning rule describes how simultaneous activation of connected neurons strengthens the synaptic links between them. Modern research from 2025 has elaborated this principle enormously, revealing precisely timed molecular cascades involving calcium signaling, gene expression, and protein synthesis that transform temporary electrical patterns into lasting structural changes. The timing matters exquisitely. Neurons must fire within milliseconds of each other for strengthening to occur. Your subconscious builds its vast knowledge base through this elegant principle, each coincidence of activation leaving a slightly deeper trace. Like footpaths worn gradually into meadows by repeated passage along identical routes. In a remarkable demonstration of subconscious visual processing, certain individuals with damage to the primary visual cortex can respond accurately to visual stimuli they genuinely cannot consciously see. This phenomenon, called blind sight, reveals that visual information reaches decision-making and motor systems through pathways that bypass conscious awareness entirely. People with blind sight can navigate around obstacles, detect emotional expressions, and point toward objects in their blind field while sincerely reporting seeing nothing. 2025 research using advanced imaging identified the specific subcortical routes enabling this capacity. Your visual system processes far more than consciousness displays, maintaining functional sight in neural pathways that operate entirely beneath the threshold of visual awareness. Your brain continuously extracts patterns and regularities from the environment without conscious effort or intention. Infants absorb the statistical structure of language, learning which sounds typically follow which, months before producing their first words. Adults exposed to sequences containing hidden patterns begin responding in ways that reflect knowledge of those patterns without being able to articulate what they have learned. 2025 research demonstrated this statistical learning operates across visual, auditory, and tactile domains simultaneously. Your subconscious is a tireless statistician, computing probabilities and detecting regularities across every sensory channel, building models of the world's structure from patterns too subtle for awareness to detect directly. Dreams serve emotional processing functions that waking cognition cannot easily replicate. During REM sleep, the brain revisits emotionally significant experiences, while neurochemical conditions differ dramatically from wakefulness. Norepinephrine levels drop to near zero, allowing emotional memories to be reprocessed without the physiological stress response that accompanied the original experience. 2025 research found that people who dream about difficult experiences show greater emotional resolution upon waking than those who do not. Your subconscious uses the unique chemical environment of dreaming to carefully handle emotional material, processing it in the safe absence of stress hormones. Like a restorer who works on delicate paintings only in perfectly controlled conditions. Entire memories can be created for events that never occurred, through suggestion, imagination, or exposure to misleading information. People can develop vivid, emotionally rich recollections of experiences that exist only in the mind's construction. 2025 research demonstrated that false memories activate neural patterns strikingly similar to genuine ones, making them subjectively indistinguishable from true recollections. The constructive nature of memory means your brain builds rather than retrieves, assembling each recollection from available elements. This same flexibility that allows creative thought and future planning also permits the quiet fabrication of a past that feels absolutely real. Memory is an artist, not a camera, and sometimes the paintings it produces depict scenes the eyes have never witnessed. Conscious working memory holds a remarkably small amount of information, roughly 4 independent items at any given moment. This severe limitation means the vast majority of your cognitive processing must occur subconsciously. When you engage in complex reasoning, working memory serves as a narrow stage where subconscious processes present their results for conscious inspection. 2025 research confirmed that individual differences in working memory capacity predict performance across a wide range of cognitive tasks. From reading comprehension to mathematical reasoning, the immense complexity of human thought emerges from the collaboration between this tiny conscious spotlight and the vast, capable darkness surrounding it. Like a director who sees only one scene at a time, while an enormous crew works invisibly behind every wall. The progressive deterioration of memory systems in neurodegenerative conditions reveals the architecture of memory by showing which components fail first. The hippocampus and entorhinal cortex are among the earliest regions affected, which is why difficulty forming new memories often represents the first noticeable change. Procedural memories stored in the basal ganglia and cerebellum tend to persist much longer. Emotional responses mediated by the amygdala may remain intact even when the person can no longer explain their source. 2025 research continues to map these patterns, revealing that memory is not one system but many, each housed in different neural territory. Like a library spread across many buildings whose different wings may weather different storms. Your brain processes and responds to information presented below the threshold of conscious perception. Subliminal stimuli, too brief or faint for awareness, still activate semantic networks, prime related concepts, and influence subsequent judgments. 2025 research, using precise timing methods, demonstrated that words flashed for just 30 milliseconds activate meaning-related brain regions, even when participants cannot report seeing anything. While subliminal effects are modest and cannot override deliberate choice, they reveal that the boundary between perception and non-perception is not a wall, but a gradient. Your subconscious processes a wider band of the world than consciousness admits. Like an ear that hears frequencies the mind never registers as sound. When you set aside a problem you have been struggling with, the subconscious continues working on it without your awareness. This incubation effect has been documented across creative and analytical domains. People who take breaks from difficult problems often return with solutions that seem to arrive from nowhere. 2025, research using neuroimaging found that default mode network activity during incubation periods correlates with subsequent insight. The subconscious explores solution spaces using associative processes too broad and too parallel for conscious deliberation to replicate. Your mind does not stop working when you stop trying. It simply shifts the labor to quieter workshops where different tools are available. Like an answer that arrives only after you stop searching for it. You acquire vast amounts of knowledge simply by moving through the world without any intention to learn. This incidental learning occurs when information is processed for purposes other than memorization, but gets encoded anyway. Reading for entertainment teaches vocabulary. Walking through a city builds spatial maps. Casual conversations deposit factual knowledge you never sought. 2025 research demonstrated that the depth of incidental encoding depends on how meaningfully the information is processed, not whether learning was intended. Your subconscious absorbs lessons from every experience, regardless of conscious purpose. Like soil that receives seeds carried by wind without regard for whether anyone planted them deliberately. When your brain encounters a partial version of a previously stored pattern, it automatically reconstructs the complete representation. This pattern completion, performed primarily by hippocampal circuits, allows a fragment of a memory to trigger the full recollection. A familiar scent can recreate an entire scene. A few notes of a song can bring back the room where you first heard it. 2025 research revealed that the dentate, gyrus, and CA3 region of the hippocampus work together in this process, with pattern separation ensuring similar memories remain distinct, while pattern completion enables retrieval from minimal cues. Your subconscious is a master of reconstruction, building whole worlds from fragments. Like an archaeologist who envisions a complete temple from a single carved stone, your mind operates through two fundamentally different processing systems working in parallel. System 1 is fast, automatic, and subconscious, handling pattern recognition, intuitive judgments, and habitual responses with minimal effort. System 2 is slow, deliberate, and conscious, managing logical analysis, complex calculation, and novel problem solving. Most daily cognition relies on System 1, with System 2 engaging only when automatic processing proves insufficient. 2025 research refined understanding of how these systems interact, showing that System 1 constantly generates suggestions that System 2 may accept, modify, or override. Your mental life emerges from this continuous dialogue between a rapid, confident advisor and a careful, slower judge. each essential, neither sufficient alone. Societies maintain shared memories that shape group identity across generations. These collective memories are not simply individual recollections held by many people, but socially constructed narratives that communities maintain through rituals, education, and shared storytelling. 2025 research on collective memory demonstrated that group narratives can persist for centuries, evolving gradually as cultural contexts shift while maintaining core emotional themes. What a community remembers together defines its boundaries and values. Your subconscious participates in these larger memory systems, absorbing shared narratives that connect you to communities extending far beyond your personal experience. Like individual notes that gain meaning only as part of a melody sustained across many voices. Severe memory loss reveals how fundamentally identity depends on the continuity memory provides. When the ability to form new memories or access old ones is dramatically impaired, the sense of self becomes fragmented. People with dense amnesia may retain personality traits and emotional patterns, while losing the narrative thread, connecting past to present. 2025 case studies documented individuals who remained warm, humorous, and socially engaged, despite being unable to recall events from minutes earlier. Identity persists in habits, preferences, and emotional dispositions even when the autobiographical story dissolves. Your sense of who you are rests on foundations deeper than explicit memory, like a house that remains standing even after the photographs on its walls have been removed. During dreaming, your brain constructs immersive sensory experiences using the same neural systems that process waking perception. Visual cortex generates imagery. Motor cortex activates movement sequences, and emotional centers respond to dream events with genuine physiological reactions. 2025 research confirmed that dreaming brains show activation patterns remarkably similar to waking experience, with the notable exception of reduced prefrontal activity, which may explain the uncritical acceptance of impossible dream events. Your subconscious builds entire worlds each night, using the same tools consciousness uses during the day. Worlds complete with physics, faces, and emotional weight, constructed entirely from within, like a theater that produces, directs, and performs its own plays for an audience of one. The act of forgiving does not erase a painful memory, but gradually transforms the emotional charge attached to it. Research from 2025 demonstrated that intentional forgiveness practices produce measurable changes in how the brain processes the forgiven memory, reducing amygdala activation while increasing prefrontal engagement. The factual content of the memory remains accessible, but the emotional sting diminishes progressively. This process appears to involve a form of emotional reconsolidation, where the memory is retrieved and stored again with updated, softened emotional associations. Your subconscious can learn to hold difficult memories differently, not forgetting what happened, but gently changing how it feels to remember. Like a wound that heals, not by disappearing, but by becoming a mark that no longer aches when touched. Your subjective experience of time passing is constructed by the subconscious rather than passively perceived. When many new experiences fill a period, retrospective time estimates expand. Familiar, routine periods seem to compress when viewed in memory. Emotional intensity stretches perceived duration in the moment, but may compress it afterward. 2025 research identified neural timing circuits in the basal ganglia, cerebellum, and prefrontal cortex that collaborate to produce time perception. Different emotional states alter the speed of internal clocks maintained by these circuits. Your sense of an hour, a day, or a year is a creative interpretation rather than a measurement, painted by the subconscious in colors influenced by novelty, emotion, and attention, like a landscape whose proportions shift depending on the light in which it is viewed. Pause here with me for one final rest. Notice how different your body feels now compared to when we began. Perhaps you have been drifting, catching some words and releasing others, letting them settle wherever they choose. That is exactly how this is meant to work. Feel the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat. You do not control it. You never have. Yet it has been faithfully marking time for you since before your very first memory formed. Your subconscious has been managing this rhythm, along with 1,000 other processes, throughout every moment of this journey. Let your awareness become soft and wide, like a candle flame in a still room, illuminating without reaching. You are safe. You are held by the same quiet intelligence that keeps your lungs breathing and your heart beating while your conscious mind rests. If sleep has already begun to gather you, do not resist. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Let us continue into the last gentle stretch of our journey together. The default mode network, a constellation of brain regions spanning the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate, and lateral temporal areas, activates most powerfully when you are not focused on any external task, rather than idling. This network performs essential maintenance, consolidating memories, simulating future scenarios, and maintaining the continuous sense of self that threads through your experience. 2025 research revealed the default mode network consumes nearly as much energy as focused task performance, indicating the profound importance of its operations. Your subconscious never truly rests. When consciousness releases its grip on the external world, an inner world of equal complexity awakens, like a city whose most essential work begins only after its visible streets grow quiet. Your subconscious processes information and initiates responses with extraordinary speed. Neural signals in automatic processing pathways can trigger behavioral adjustments within 200 milliseconds, far faster than the roughly 500 milliseconds required for conscious deliberation to influence action. This means many of your responses to the world are already underway before awareness catches up. Research from 2025 confirmed that in time-pressured situations, subconscious processing produces more accurate responses than deliberate analysis for well-learned patterns. The fastest part of your mind operates in silence, making decisions and initiating actions before the slower voice of consciousness has finished forming its first thought. Memory does not reside in any single location within the brain, but distributes itself across vast neural networks. Visual aspects of a memory are stored near visual processing areas, sounds near auditory regions, emotional tones in limbic structures, motor components in movement-related circuits. Remembering an experience means simultaneously reactivating all these distributed elements, coordinated by the hippocampus into a unified recollection. 2025 research using high-resolution imaging mapped these distributions with remarkable precision, confirming that a single memory can span dozens of distinct brain regions. Your recollections are symphonies performed by musicians seated throughout the entire orchestra of your brain, each contributing their particular instrument to a composition that exists only when all play together. Your memory system operates through two fundamentally different modes that can function independently. Explicit memory handles conscious recall of facts and personal experiences. Depending on the hippocampus and medial temporal lobe, implicit memory manages skills, habits, conditioned responses, and priming effects through the basal ganglia, cerebellum, and amygdala. Damage to one system can leave the other entirely intact. A person unable to form new conscious memories can still learn new motor skills without any awareness of the practice sessions. 2025 research continues to map these parallel systems, revealing they interact more than previously understood while maintaining genuine independence. Your mind maintains two separate libraries. One you can browse consciously, and another that shapes your behavior from rooms you cannot enter or inspect. Sleep consolidation transforms fragile new memories into stable, long-lasting representations through a precisely orchestrated neurochemical process. During slow-wave sleep, the hippocampus replays recently encoded experiences, transmitting them to the cortex for integration with existing knowledge. During REM sleep, these newly integrated memories are further refined and connected to emotional processing. 2025 research demonstrated that a single night of sleep following learning can increase retention by 40% compared to an equivalent period of wakefulness. This is not passive preservation but active reorganization. Your subconscious uses the altered chemistry of sleep to restructure knowledge, extracting patterns and generalizations that were not apparent during waking experience. Like a jeweler who sees the true shape of a stone only after patient polishing reveals what was always hidden within. The hippocampus does far more than serve as a temporary memory warehouse. 2025 research revealed its expanded role in imagination, spatial navigation, future planning, and even creative problem-solving. This structure actively constructs novel scenes by recombining elements from stored experiences, a capacity essential for envisioning possibilities never directly encountered. People with hippocampal damage struggle not only with memory, but with imagining coherent future scenarios. The hippocampus is a scene construction engine, assembling fragments of past experience into new configurations that serve both remembering and imagining. Your subconscious uses the same architecture that preserves the past to build visions of the future. A single workshop crafting backward-looking memories and forward-looking dreams from identical materials. Specialized neurons in the hippocampus, called place cells, fire, specifically when you occupy particular locations in an environment, creating an internal cognitive map. During sleep, these same cells replay the sequences of places you visited during the day, but often at dramatically accelerated speeds. 2025 research revealed that this rapid replay serves both memory consolidation and route planning, with the hippocampus sometimes generating novel trajectories through familiar spaces that the individual has never actually traveled. Your subconscious cartographer maps every space you move through and then, while you sleep, explores those maps with the freedom of a dreamer, discovering paths your waking feet have never taken. Fear conditioning demonstrates how the subconscious creates rapid, powerful associations between neutral stimuli and threatening experiences. A single pairing of an innocuous sound with an unpleasant event can produce lasting physiological fear responses to that sound alone. This learning depends on the amygdala, and operates independently of conscious memory. Someone can develop a fear response without any conscious recollection of the conditioning event itself. 2025 research confirmed that these associations form within a single trial and persist until actively unlearned. Your subconscious maintains a vigilant catalogue of potential dangers, learning from single encounters and maintaining those lessons indefinitely. Like a sentinel who never forgets an alarm, even when the threat has long passed. Different sleep stages serve distinct memory functions through unique neurochemical environments. Slow-wave sleep, characterized by large, synchronized electrical oscillations, primarily supports consolidation of factual and spatial memories through hippocampal cortical dialogue. REM sleep, with its distinctive rapid eye movements and near-waking brain activity levels, preferentially consolidates emotional and procedural memories, while creative insight and emotional regulation also benefit. 2025 research demonstrated that selectively disrupting either stage impairs its corresponding memory type while leaving the other relatively intact. Your subconscious operates different consolidation programs in different sleep stages, each tuned to handle specific types of information. Like a factory running separate production lines on alternating shifts, the prefrontal cortex serves as a regulatory system for subconscious emotional impulses, evaluating whether automatic reactions are appropriate to the current context. When you feel a flash of anger but choose to respond calmly, prefrontal circuits are actively suppressing the amygdala's initial reaction. This cognitive control develops gradually through childhood and does not fully mature until the mid-20s. 2025 research showed this regulatory capacity fluctuates with energy levels, stress, and sleep quality. When prefrontal resources are depleted, emotional reactions become less filtered and more impulsive. Your conscious mind's ability to moderate the subconscious emotional system depends on a limited energy supply that must be protected through adequate rest. Like a dam that holds vast waters but requires constant maintenance to preserve its strength. Every time you recall a memory, it temporarily destabilizes and must be stored again through a process called reconsolidation. During this brief window, the memory becomes malleable, open to modification by your current emotional state, new information, or the context of retrieval. This means memories are not fixed recordings, but living records that evolve each time they are accessed. 2025 research confirmed that reconsolidation involves molecular processes similar to initial consolidation, including protein synthesis at active synapses. Your past is gently rewritten each time you revisit it. Every act of remembering, also an act of subtle revision. Like a story told so many times that each telling leaves its own invisible fingerprints upon the narrative. Exposure to a stimulus can alter your response to a related stimulus without any conscious awareness of the connection. When you read the word ocean, you subsequently recognize the word wave more quickly, because the first word activated related concepts in your semantic network. This priming extends to behaviors and goals. Research from 2025 found that priming effects can persist for hours and influence complex decisions, not just simple recognition. Your subconscious maintains an intricate web of associations, where activating any single node sends ripples of increased readiness through connected concepts. Like a vast web, where touching any strand causes distant threads to vibrate in sympathetic resonance. Your brain maintains multiple parallel memory systems, each handling different types of information through distinct neural pathways. Episodic memory records personal experiences. Semantic memory stores general knowledge. Procedural memory preserves skills and habits. Perceptual memory maintains sensory representations. These systems can operate independently, cooperate on complex tasks, or occasionally compete when they suggest different responses to the same situation. 2025 research mapped interactions between these systems with increasing detail, revealing that sleep plays a critical role in coordinating transfers of information between them. Your subconscious manages a collection of specialized memory departments, each expert in its domain, communicating through channels that become most active during the quiet hours of rest. Forgetting serves essential adaptive functions rather than representing mere failure of the memory system. Your subconscious actively weakens memories that prove irrelevant, outdated, or interfering with current needs. This pruning prevents overwhelming accumulation and maintains efficient access to useful information. Research from 2025 demonstrated that people with superior autobiographical memory, who forget very little, actually experience significant difficulties. They struggle to generalize, to update beliefs, and to move past painful experiences. Forgetting is the quiet gardener of your mind, selectively removing what no longer serves growth so that the most vital knowledge can thrive without being choked by the undergrowth of every moment ever recorded. Subconscious attitudes absorbed from cultural environments shape perception and behavior in ways that often contradict consciously held values. These implicit biases affect evaluation speeds, social judgments, and behavioral tendencies without reaching awareness. Their neural signatures have been traced to the amygdala and anterior temporal regions that process rapid categorical assessments. 2025 research emphasized that implicit biases respond to environmental context, strengthening in conditions of stress or cognitive load, and weakening when individuals are well-rested and deliberately attentive. Changing automatic associations requires sustained effort across many contexts. Your subconscious absorbs the statistical patterns of its cultural surroundings, reflecting them faithfully even when conscious values point in different directions. Like a mirror that shows the room as it is, rather than as its owner might prefer it to be. Your subconscious pursues goals you have set even after conscious attention has moved elsewhere. Once activated, goal representations maintain a state of heightened readiness in memory, biasing perception and behavior toward goal-relevant information and opportunities. 2025 research demonstrated that people who were primed with achievement goals showed increased persistence and creativity on unrelated tasks without any awareness of the connection. This unconscious goal pursuit continues for extended periods, silently scanning the environment for means of progress. Your subconscious is a dedicated executor of your intentions, working toward objectives you may have temporarily forgotten. Like a compass that continues pointing north, even when tucked inside a pocket where no one is looking. Not all experiences are treated equally during memory consolidation. Your brain applies what researchers call memory tags to experiences deemed particularly important, marking them for priority processing during subsequent sleep. These tags involve specific molecular markers at synapses that flag certain neural patterns for strengthening. 2025 research identified dopamine and cortisol as key tagging signals, with rewarding and stressful experiences receiving the strongest priority markers. Tagged memories receive more replay during sleep and show greater consolidation gains. Your subconscious operates a quiet sorting system during waking hours, marking the most significant moments for special attention when night arrives. Like a reader who places bookmarks in passages worth returning to later. Your brain continues processing information during periods of apparent rest through what researchers call offline processing. When you sit quietly, stare out a window, or simply let your mind wander, subconscious systems actively reorganize recently acquired information, strengthen weak memories, and discover connections between seemingly unrelated experiences. 2025 research showed that people who took quiet rest breaks between learning sessions demonstrated better insight and problem-solving than those who stayed continuously engaged. Your subconscious needs periods of unfocused wakefulness to perform essential cognitive maintenance. Rest without sleep serves its own consolidation function, like a pause between musical phrases that allows each note to resonate fully before the next arrives. Memories from your distant past can feel like they belong to a different person. This psychological distance arises because the neural representation of old memories has been transformed through years of reconsolidation, systems consolidation, and integration with subsequent experience. The person who encoded those memories operated with different neural patterns, different hormonal profiles, and different knowledge structures than you possess now. 2025 research found that very old memories rely more on semantic and schematic processing than on the detailed episodic recall that characterizes recent memories. Your relationship with your own past changes as memories age, transforming from vivid personal experiences into stories about someone you once were, like letters written in your own handwriting that somehow feel as though they came from someone else. The sense of familiarity you experience when encountering something seen before arises not from memory retrieval but from processing fluency. When your brain processes a stimulus more easily the second time, this increased fluency generates a feeling of recognition that consciousness interprets as familiarity. This explains why things seen clearly or in good lighting feel more familiar even when genuinely novel. The subconscious confuses ease of processing with prior experience. 2025 research confirmed this mechanism by showing that artificially increasing processing fluency through subtle priming creates false feelings of recognition. Your sense of having encountered something before may reflect not actual memory, but the smoothness with which your brain handles information. Like mistaking a well-paved road for a road you have traveled simply because the journey feels effortless. Memory evolved not primarily to preserve the past, but to serve the future. The constructive, the flexible nature of human memory makes more sense when understood as a system designed to guide upcoming decisions rather than faithfully record completed events. Your subconscious uses stored experience to generate predictions, simulate scenarios, and prepare responses to anticipated situations. 2025 research demonstrated that people with richer episodic memories also show more detailed and flexible future thinking. The same neural systems construct past and future with equal commitment. Your memory is less an archive and more a planning department, using the raw materials of experience to build models of what might come. Like a navigator who studies charts of waters already sailed to plot the course through seas that lie ahead. Your brain automatically filters auditory information based on relevance, even when attention is directed elsewhere. In noisy environments, the subconscious continuously monitors unattended channels for personally significant signals. hearing your own name spoken across a crowded room. The cocktail party effect demonstrates this persistent background surveillance. 2025 research using neural tracking methods showed that the auditory cortex maintains representations of multiple simultaneous sound streams, with attention acting as a spotlight that can be redirected in milliseconds when the subconscious detects something important. Your mind listens to everything while attending to almost nothing, maintaining a vast surveillance network that alerts consciousness only when something personally meaningful emerges from the noise. Music possesses a remarkable ability to trigger involuntary autobiographical memories, transporting you instantly to specific moments from your past. A particular melody can evoke not just the memory of where you heard it, but the emotions, sensations, and social context of that original encounter. 2025 research revealed that music activates memory retrieval through emotional and motor pathways that bypass the deliberate search processes normally required for autobiographical recall. The temporal structure of music, its rhythm and progression, seems to serve as a uniquely powerful retrieval cue. Your subconscious stores memories within melodies, and when those melodies return, entire worlds resurface unbidden, like doors hidden in ordinary walls that open only when a particular song provides the key. The mere thought of falling asleep initiates measurable physiological changes before sleep itself arrives. When you settle into bed and allow your mind to orient toward rest, your brain begins shifting neurotransmitter balances. Your body temperature starts dropping, and your heart rate gradually decreases. 2025 research demonstrated that the intention to sleep activates preparatory circuits in the hypothalamus and brainstem that coordinate the transition from wakefulness. This means your subconscious begins building the bridge to sleep the moment your conscious mind gives permission to cross it. The boundary between waking and sleeping is not a cliff, but a gentle slope. Your body begins descending the moment you turn toward rest. Like a river that begins to slow long before it reaches the still waters of a waiting lake. Every memory you form connects to other memories across time, creating a vast network of associations that gives your experience continuity and meaning. A memory of a childhood afternoon links to memories of the same place encountered years later, to people present then who appear in other memories, to emotions felt then that echo in unrelated situations. These connections are not stored as explicit links but emerge through overlapping neural representations. 2025 research confirmed that the richness of these interconnections predicts both memory durability and the depth of personal meaning attached to experiences. Your subconscious weaves every moment into a web of connections spanning your entire life, so that no memory exists in isolation, but rather as a thread in a tapestry whose pattern becomes visible only when you step back far enough to see how everything touches everything else. And now, as this journey draws to its close, let yourself rest in the understanding that everything we have explored tonight continues quietly within you. 100 truths about the subconscious mind have passed through this gentle space. Some may have settled into your awareness like stones placed carefully in a garden. Others may have drifted past, barely noticed, absorbed by that vast intelligence beneath your thoughts that has been listening even when you are not. Your subconscious does not need you to remember every word. It has already taken what it needs. It has already begun the quiet work of sorting, connecting, and integrating. While you sleep, the architecture of your inner mind will continue building itself, strengthening the pathways that matter and gently releasing the rest. Think of everything your subconscious does for you in this single moment. It keeps your heart beating, your lungs breathing, your temperature regulated. It processes the sounds reaching your ears, the pressure of the surface beneath you, the temperature of the air against your skin. It monitors your body, maintains your equilibrium, and prepares the systems of sleep that will soon carry you into dreams. All of this happens without a single instruction from your conscious mind. You are carried by an intelligence so vast and so faithful that it has never once forgotten to keep you alive. Tonight, as sleep gathers you into its quietest rooms, know that your subconscious will be at work. It will replay fragments of this day, weaving them into the larger story of your life. It will tend to memories that need strengthening and gently dissolve ones that have served their purpose. It will rehearse movements, process emotions, and run the simulations that will help you navigate tomorrow. You do not need to oversee any of this. You never have. If you are part of the Sleepy Soul community that gathers here in the gentle dark, thank you for being present. Every quiet listener makes this space warmer. A like or subscribe carries this small light to one more restless mind searching for a place to lay their thoughts down. But none of that matters as much as this: you are here. You are safe. And sleep is already reaching for you. Let go of every remaining thought. Let go of today. Let go of tomorrow. Let yourself become as weightless as a breath released into still air. Your subconscious knows the way from here. Good night, gentle soul. Sleep well, dream deep, and trust the quiet mind that watches over you through every hour of darkness. Faithfully, endlessly, without ever asking to be thanked. Good night.